November 24th, 1971. A storm lashes the Pacific Northwest. High above, a Boeing 727 slices through the turbulent night, en route from Portland to Seattle. Inside, passengers settle in, unaware that history is about to be made. One man sits alone, calm and watchful, waiting for his moment. Below, the endless forests of Washington stretch into darkness, a perfect place to vanish. Flight attendant Florence Schaffner moves down the aisle, her routine about to be shattered. The man's plan is audacious, a gamble against the elements, the law, and fate itself. The cabin hums with quiet conversation, oblivious to the storm brewing within. He is composed, patient, and ready. This is not just a crime. It's a legend in the making. The sky is thick with possibility. A man could hijack a plane, demand a ransom, and disappear forever. Tonight, that legend is about to be born. The world below prepares for Thanksgiving, but in the clouds, a myth is taking shape. The man will become a ghost, a whisper on the wind. The engines drone, the rain pounds, and the story of D.B. Cooper begins. He is about to step into the unknown and take his secrets with him. The wilderness below is ready to swallow another mystery. The passengers remain blissfully unaware. The crew follows routine, not knowing their lives are about to change. The storm outside is nothing compared to the storm about to erupt inside. This is the night D.B. Cooper becomes legend. A man, a plan, a storm, and a leap into history. The sky is waiting. He called himself Dan Cooper. The world would know him as D.B. Cooper. Mid-40s, dark suit, black tie, utterly unremarkable. He blended in, a phantom among the crowd. He ordered a bourbon and soda, smoked a cigarette, and watched the world with steady eyes. The flight attendants would later recall his quiet confidence. He was no ordinary hijacker. No rage, no violence, just icy control. He handed Florence Schaffner a note. "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." The cabin's calm shattered in an instant. Suddenly, the man in the dark suit was in command. His demands were simple, his presence chilling. He knew about planes, parachutes, and the wild terrain below. This was no impulsive act. It was a meticulously planned operation. The name Dan Cooper was a mask, a shield for a man who would vanish into myth. Was he ex-military, an engineer, a disgruntled employee? No one knew. The FBI would chase shadows for decades. But the real man behind the alias remained a mystery. He was a silhouette, defined by his composure and audacity. The black attaché case at his side held the fate of everyone on board. He was a question without an answer. The press would immortalize his alias, and the world would never forget. He was the architect of the perfect crime, a ghost in a business suit, the ultimate enigma. He left behind only questions. No one would ever truly know the man called D.B. Cooper. He was a legend before he even disappeared. The hijacker who rewrote the rules, a man who became a myth. The mystery was just beginning. The note was clear, written in block letters, $200,000 in unmarked 20s, 4 parachutes. The details were chilling. This was a man who had thought of everything. He claimed to have a bomb and showed just enough to make the threat real. Wires, red sticks, a battery. No one dared to test him. The crew relayed his demands. On the ground, the FBI scrambled. The plane circled Seattle for hours, burning fuel, tension mounting. Cooper was patient, unflappable, even paid his drink tab. He was a paradox, a gentleman hijacker, calm in the eye of the storm. The passengers had no idea of the danger until the very end. When the ransom and parachutes arrived, the exchange was made in darkness and rain. The passengers were released unharmed but shaken. The money and parachutes were brought aboard. The plane was refueled, ready for the next act. Cooper's control was absolute. The crew followed his every instruction. The hijacking was not about violence. It was about precision, planning, and nerve. The storm outside mirrored the tension within. The world watched, transfixed. The man in the dark suit was ready for his exit. The perfect crime was about to reach its climax. The legend was growing with every minute. The FBI waited, powerless. The passengers stepped into the night, free but forever changed. Cooper remained, a shadow in the cabin. The next move was his alone. The world held its breath. The final act was about to begin. The note, the bomb, the plan, all had worked. Now it was time for the impossible. The man in the dark suit was ready to vanish. The storm raged on. The legend was about to leap into the night. With only the crew left, the 727 took off again, heading south. But Cooper's true destination was the wild unknown. He gave precise instructions: fly low, slow landing gear down flaps at 15 degrees. The pilots obeyed. These were conditions for a jump, not a flight. Cooper gathered the money, tied it around his waist, and prepared. He was calm, methodical, focused. The flight attendant showed him how to lower the aft air stairs, a rare feature, perfect for escape. The temperature outside was brutal, the wind a howling force. For most, a jump like this would be suicide. Sometime after 8 p.m, a warning light flashed. The stairs were down. The cabin pressure shifted. The pilots felt the plane lurch. Cooper was gone. He had leaped into the storm, $200,000 strapped to his body. The plane landed with the stairs still open. The man vanished. Only a tie, 2 parachutes and cigarette butts remained. Cooper had dissolved into the night. He had done the impossible. The perfect crime executed with icy precision. He was now a legend, a ghost in the sky. The story was no longer about a hijacking, but about a disappearance. The world was left with questions and a myth that would never die. The storm swallowed him whole. The legend of D.B. Cooper was born. The sky kept its secret. The man was gone. The search began at dawn, one of the largest in U.S. history. The FBI called it Norjack Northwest Hijacking. Hundreds scoured the forests, rivers and mountains. Helicopters swept the wilderness but found nothing. The terrain was merciless, the weather unforgiving. It was as if Cooper had vanished into thin air. The FBI followed every lead, checked every suspect, but the trail went cold. They released the serial numbers of the ransom, hoping the money would surface. They had a sketch, DNA from cigarette butts and endless theories, but Cooper remained a ghost. The investigation dragged on for decades, false leads, dead ends, wild speculation. In 2016, the FBI suspended the case. 45 years and not a single definitive answer. Cooper had outsmarted them all. He had planned his Vanishing Act to perfection. The man called Dan Cooper stepped off a plane and into legend. The forest kept its secrets. The myth only grew. The world was left with a riddle, the perfect crime unsolved. The man in the dark suit was gone. Only the legend remained. The search for D.B. Cooper became a search for a ghost. Over the years, suspects piled up, each one a tantalizing maybe. Richard McCoy, Vietnam vet and skydiver, pulled off a similar hijacking but denied being Cooper. Dwayne Webber confessed on his deathbed but DNA didn't match. Sheridan Peterson, Marine and smoke jumper, fit the profile but left no proof. Each suspect was a story, a shadow, a dead end. The list grew: pilots, criminals, even a transgender woman with parachute skills. The FBI chased every lead, but the truth slipped away. The case became a hall of mirrors, ghosts flickering at the edge of the story. Each new name only deepened the mystery. The real Cooper remained out of reach. The investigation was haunted by possibilities. The central question stayed unanswered. What happened to Cooper in the wild? Theories abound. The FBI's answer: he died in the jump, killed by the storm, the cold, or the wilderness. But the legend says otherwise. Maybe he was a survivalist, a soldier, a man who knew how to disappear. Perhaps he walked out of the woods and blended into ordinary life. Or maybe he had help, a waiting truck, a boat, a hidden accomplice. Some say it was a perfect team job, a conspiracy that never cracked. Others spin wilder tales: Cooper as a trickster spirit, a mythic figure of freedom. The truth is lost in the trees. The story has outgrown the facts. It's become a modern myth, a man who defied the system and vanished. The whispers in the woods will never die. The legend is bigger than the man. The mystery endures. Cooper is a symbol of risk, rebellion and the unknown. The forest keeps its secrets. The world keeps wondering. The myth lives on. For 9 years, nothing surfaced until 1980. A boy digging on the Columbia Riverbank found 3 bundles of rotting cash. The serial numbers matched Cooper's ransom. Just $6,000 of the $200,000 miles from the suspected drop zone. The discovery raised more questions than answers. Did the river carry the money? Did Cooper bury it? No one knows. Experts studied currents, analysed clues, but the mystery deepened. The rest of the money, the parachute the man never found. The money is a silent, waterlogged clue, proof the crime happened, but not how it ended. 50 years later, the mystery of D.B. Cooper endures. He's become a folk hero, a symbol of rebellion and freedom. Books, films, festivals, his legend grows. Why does his story captivate us? Because he slipped through the cracks and vanished. He's an anti-hero for an age of surveillance. The case is a perfect mystery, no ending, no closure. Was he a mastermind who escaped or a victim of the wild? We project our hopes and fears onto him. He's a blank slate hero, villain, ghost. The enigma continues. Somewhere, the rest of the money may still be hidden. Or perhaps an old man remembers the truth, alone. We'll likely never know. D.B. Cooper remains a question mark in the sky. The legend will never die.